John Hubert Edward Jones.
And you work where?
Well, in the Hubert Colliery.
In the Hubert Colliery. Why were you called Hubert and not John? That's a good question.
Well, the thing is, my father's name was John. My grandfather's name was Edward.
Right.
But the neighbours around us in Pennakai thought I was such a lovely boy and they wanted to call me Hubert.
All right.
I couldn't say nothing about it because I was only a baby.
But that's what
But,
you...
that's why my name went on Hubert after that, the middle name.
Did you have a nickname down?
No.
No.
Not down there, no.
One of the few that didn't serve us well. Where were you born then, Hubert?
I was born in the old Pentra in Pennakai.
Old Pentra, Pennakai.
Yeah.
And where did your parents come from?
Well, they came from Pennakai anyway. They were all from there.
And what did they do for a living?
Well, my grandfather was a miner. My father I'm not quite sure of, so I wouldn't know what he worked as.
Yeah.
And but my mother, she went to work at a dairy maid in one of the farms in Pennakai. And my father, well, he passed away, and my grandmother reared me from there on, right through.
Which was the nearest pit to you?
The Hubert was the nearest.
Pit. Can you recall any family stories or memories of your granddad working in the mine? Or
the only one I was told about was my grandfather, and he worked in the old Wrexham Colliery. But he died of the
dust or
miners, you know, the
pneumonocosis.
That's it. I can't remember, think of the name.
Aye. And again, we talked earlier, and you said about the coal picking on the Avon Bank.
Yes. Well, that was in 1940, in the early 40s, I believe. I'm not quite sure the actual date.
Yeah.
But I was only working on the bank in them days in the Harvard, and I wasn't allowed any coal at the time, not being on the bank like. So we used to nip down after finishing work. We used to nip down and scrabble around in the bank with lots of coal rolling.
Can you recall people pinching out of the railway wagons even?
Yes, that was when I was working nights down the pit. That was.
Aye.
I went down the pit to work. We used to work nights and we used to come up early in the morning, like. And for 1 or 2 hours, we used to take a little bag or something with us, you know, on the night shift. And then when we were coming up, we used to go to the lorries and pick a few out. Like.
Right. There you go. Now, but how did you first get involved to work in the pit? What made you work in the pit?
Well, to start off, I worked in the brickyard in Wrexham, and we had a very bad winter, and the old fellas couldn't get the clay out of the pit, out of the clay pits, or the, you know, it's too bad. So we were put on the dole in them days.
Aye.
And we were only getting a shilling a day, one thing or another, and living with my grandmother. Well, all she was having was 10 shilling in them days to keep the two of us and things. So one of my friends, Oliver, his first name was, we decided now to go down to the Harvard and see if we could get any work there. Well, they took us on to work on the surface, on the screening the coal as it come down, and that's how I started.
Ah, right.
And then from then on, well, I went down the pit afterwards, and well, the reason I went down the pit was a lot of my friends had joined the army, and in them days you could join the army straight away when the war started in 38. But I kept on the and then eventually I went down the pit. And that's where I started from.
Just going back a little bit, you were saying about the clay, getting the clay.
Yeah.
Did any come from Llwyn Enyon, do you know? Did any of the clay, because it was a Llwyn Enyon clay pit?
Llwyn Enyon was going, but that was only rough.
Was it, yeah?
Yeah. They were only doing rough bricks a month, another. But in Rwanda, the clay we were getting was terracotta.
Yes.
And we used to, well, they used to transport the tiles and bricks out to America and all in them days.
I'll show you. We've got a tub that comes from Fluid Onion from the clay pit. I'll show you. I'll show you one later that we sorted out. But to keep on with the mining part, can you remember your first day underground? I know it's a hard question.
Yeah, it's a, yes, I can't remember. And they put me midway between the pit bottom and the coal face, and what we call lashing on. The trucks used to come, and we had the big chains on. The rope that carried the truck, we used to lash on with the chains, and that's how I started.
Right, yeah.
And then following that, there was one young fella that worked on the end of the belt where the coal was dropping into the trucks. He was taken ill, and they asked me to take over from there, like, so I went on there, and then following that, it's an automatic rule in them days that you can go straight on the face. There was a vacancy for you, and that's how I started.
Yeah. How did you get to work?
Walk.
From
Garden Road in them days.
Garden Road.
From Garden Road. You used to walk down the fields. In some cases you used to go about 4:30, and at first there were no baths in there when I first started, but the baths came in then, so we could have a shower and change and everything then.
But you would walk regardless of the weather, and then you're black?
Every morning. When we were on days, every morning.
Yeah.
Afternoons was different. But still walking and walking back.
Yeah.
And the same in the night shift.
Yeah.
Walk all the while.
All the while, yeah. Can you remember what hours you worked? I know it all changed, didn't it?
It all changed. I just kind of, well, I remember the day shift was 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
The day shift. And of course in them days, well, you used to start walking down the fields about between 4:30 and 4:45.
Yeah.
Used to walk down there.
Yeah. Can you tell me going down in the cage? Can you remember that?
Yes, I can remember that a lot. Well, seeing as a young boy when I first started, a young fellow when I started, we used to shout at the winding fellow, you know, the bloke in charge of the winding engine. Yeah. And we used to make faces at him, one thing or another. So when we got on the cage, we'd all got in, and believe me or not, that cage went straight down with a bang. And then about halfway it would stop, and you were bouncing.
And you still annoyed him though?
Oh,
that's brilliant.
He was having his own back on the shit over.
Yeah. Was it far to get to the face from the pit bottom?
Yes, it was. The face that I worked on first started off, it's only about 4 foot high, the coal face. And well, that's going towards Bangery to Coed. That's the way we were working at the time. And then I was moved away from there into another coal face, which spanned at 13 foot high, the coal. But we found out that there was a lot of falls, rock falls and things with it. So they decided now to leave a 3 foot bind of coal just for a safety sake, more or less, something, yes.
Yeah. Now, was it hot there?
Very hot.
And what did you wear?
Well, just a pair of trunks in the end when you were working, like. Yeah. We would take my trousers and shirt and things off, like, you know.
When you first started, were they issuing helmets?
No.
No.
Went down with a cap at first, and then the helmets come in. But the lamps that we didn't have the head lamps at the time. It was just like the fire light that the firemen used to use, but they were heavy, and we used to hang them on our belts like to walk, or carry them around as we walked towards the coal face. Like.
How did people take to the helmets? Did they want to wear them to start, or was were they made to wear them in the end?
They found them very awkward in the beginning, very awkward. But then again, when the headlamps come in, well, they had to use them then.
Yeah. Now, friendship down the pit and camaraderie.
Now that was one of the best things of working down the pits. The camaraderie, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Very good.
Did you have any special friends?
Well, not working down the pit.
No.
No, not working down the pit, I didn't.
Was it a very gassy pit, the Hubert? Was it a lot of gas?
There was in some places, yes. We had a few fires down there and one thing or another.
Yeah. Now, you worked through the wall down the pit?
No, not through the wall.
No?
No. Well, how'd it come off now? Oh, my grandmother reared me, as I told you earlier on. Well, now then, she went blind. But she was too old and was suffering through asthma. They couldn't operate her or anything like that. So I had to pack my work up to look after her.
Right.
So that's how I left the colliery at the time.
So where did you work then? Where did you go to work then?
I went to work. Oh, I went back to the clay pit afterwards. To the
clay pit. Did you ever meet any Bevan boys at the pit?
My brother was one.
And how did he like that?
He didn't like it at all.
Where did he work then?
He worked in the Hubert.
Oh, so they didn't send him a long way to work?
After he left school and one thing or another, he wouldn't go to a further education or anything like that, so he went to the Hubert and he worked as a Bevan boy there.
All right. And were you involved at all with the Home Guard or anything? Or?
Yes, I was in the Home Guard.
Yeah. Go on.
I'm just trying to think now. Oh, it was in 1944.
Yeah.
When I went in the army, but I was in the Home Guard.
In the Home Guard before. What equipment did you have in the Home Guard?
Well, the old Remington rifles, the 303s. And that's about all.
Did you have a uniform or?
Oh, we had the uniform.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when I did join the army, I had to take my uniform with me.
Oh, right.
And I went and when I got down to Windsor, to where I was stationed, they gave me a new uniform then, when I got down there.
Going back on the ground now, what was safety like on the ground? Was it more a case of you looking after yourself and your
one respect, yes. I know many a time there were occasions where I'd be honest with you, I've seen a couple of lads on the haulage having a smoke down there.
Good Lord.
I did. But I didn't like to be a squealer and mention to them, but it was very dangerous for them anyway.
Good Lord.
But they weren't all that close to the coal face, but that, you can have a fire down there in any...
Oh, now, I've never heard that before, to be truthful. No, I haven't.
Well, there was another instance where a shot firer, I was working in this seam, which is quite high, and we had to cut the coal in half, in the middle.
Undercut it, in the middle, yeah.
Yeah, and when it was up in the top corner where the machine was, we had to get the shot firer to come there to ram a hole and blow it up so we could get onto the jib, like to clear the jib. But unfortunately, I went in the road out of the way, but unfortunately this shot firer didn't use his lamp to test for gas. And of course, when he came out and blew it up, I got trapped and I couldn't get back on the fish. It was stupid, I know. He should have tested for gas at the time, but he didn't.
That's what happens. Did you see the gas flame or not?
No, I was out of the road when it happened.
Yeah. Did you see any more accidents?
Yes, I did. But when I worked on the haulage, actually, some of the wagons were going off rails now and again, and I see one young lad, he put his back and got his hand underneath the buffers to lift it up, and it slipped, and all his fingers were taken right off. So.
But who would look at, who would sort out the injuries? Did you have any first aid men at that time? Or?
No, we just had the fireman himself and the shot fighters. But I know when I got hurt, I was working in this high seam colliery at the time, like, and I was digging through towards the end to try to get me a strap as a support, and there was just one knob of coal I couldn't get at, but I managed to get me pick into it, and as I prized it, then the conical shape of rock comes right on top of my head, and as I fell, my face, the right hand side of my face, went on the bench of the coal, like where we was in, and it shattered my archbone and things down there, and then the fireman had to lead me, because I couldn't see, my eyes were closed, but he led me to the conveyor belt, and he was watching me right to the pit bottom, and of course when I got to the pit bottom they sent me up then.
I'm trying to remember what they called that conical slit.
I can't even know.
It'll come to me and I'll get it in here somewhere, because they were very dangerous things.
Very dangerous things.
And if you see them, obviously you would put a board or something across, but if you didn't see them...
In this instance, there was no crack or anything in the roof at all.
No.
And of course, just as I nicked that knob of coal down it came on my head.
Yeah. Look, you were very lucky then. Although you weren't lucky, you were lucky, yeah. You could have been still that well. Could have finished you off then. And I say, when I say about the fireman would look after the injuries, but he might be half a mile away.
Oh, he could be someone else, you see, like.
Yeah.
But just that they've, word went down the face altogether to the...
Did you ever come across any fires down the pit?
Yeah. But it happened, which was just as we were coming out of the coalface itself, and we heard somebody shouting there was a fire further up, so we had to use another exit to come and get out.
What was that, a gob fire, or you don't know what it was?
No.
Can you remember anything about the Wrexham Colliery disaster? How old would you have been? You've only been a child.
I was 10 years of age.
Right, you were about 10 years old at the time of the disaster.
I was 10 years old, yes. And it's a morning that just after it happened, I hadn't gone to school that particular morning, and I walked towards the corner of Churches in Rosesobbing, and I seen a lot of miners sat on their knees and things, you know, outside of one of the shops, like, and they were chatting away, and I couldn't make out why they were in such a crowd among there talking on things.
With their backs, when you say on their knees, with their back to the wall?
I could see all over the backs of the wall.
Yeah.
And eventually I heard after that they'd had the disaster in Wrexham Colliery, like.
Yeah.
And one of my schoolmates, his father was trapped down there as well in them days. And when I first went to train to go down the mine, it was to Wrexham I went. And it was in the seam just above exactly where the fire started.
Yeah.
So that's my only impression.
Yeah. Can you remember any rats and mice down the pit?
Mice, yes.
Yeah.
One or two of the mice, like, but never seen any rats or anything like that.
No, just the mice.
Yeah.
That's toilets down the pit.
Ah, well, that's a different story. If you're on the coal face and you needed to go badly, you had to cross over the belt and go into the waste where and do it there, or do it on your shovel and then throw it on the belt.
That's for somebody else to sort out.
Yeah, but on many occasions when I worked on the screens, I've had to put my hand in.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Was it very dusty on the face?
Very dusty, very dusty.
Yeah.
And having no mask or anything, that made it worse.
Yeah. Have you got any blue marks?
Oh yes, I've got quite a few.
You've got quite a few of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but when they were taking the coal, was it pillar and stall or a long wall face? Was it a long face?
Oh, it was a long face,
yeah.
It was a long face. there were about 12 miners altogether on the face.
Yeah, long wall,
And,
yeah.
we each had 6 yards to clear, sort of thing.
I've got you. Now then, how did you know when it was the end of the shift?
Well, as soon as you finish your stint of coal, whatever you're having, you're right, that's it, no more now. And then by the time you come off the face, then you'd inquire what time you're doing all the rest of it, so we can get back to the pit bottoms, or they to be hauled up.
Yeah. I think that you've really covered your time underground, and generally would you say you enjoyed your time underground?
Well, the way I look at this, working down the ground, you're in the dark all the while, apart from the lights that you've got, you're in the dark. And you never knew what to expect every day you went down. I used to think to myself, somebody working in the shop, after they leave the work, it's exactly the same when they go back the following day. And the same with the officers and one thing like that. But with a cold face, when you go down there, you don't know what to expect.
Yeah. Now, did you go to church or chapel?
Went to church.
Did you go because you wanted to go or because you had to go?
I didn't have to go.
No, but you were happy going there.
I did start going. But the comical part was that when I was going to school, it was a case to go to a chapel first for a couple of Sundays, so you could have a trip to Rill, a free trip to Rill. And then leave the chapel and I would go to church for a couple of Sundays so we could out. That's how we started anyway, that's how we started.
Right, so when you'd finish work and your time was your own now,
yes.
what they call leisure time now.
Leisure time, yes.
Now, where did you go? Was it the Stute or?
No. We used to do a lot of walking in them days, walking up the fields and or up towards the mountain area and things like that. Just all walking in them days.
Yeah.
And if I was lucky, I had enough money, we'd go to pictures in the evening, like. But that's about all.
Yeah. How about pigeon fancying? There was a few, was it?
There was quite a few around us, and I used to go and watch them when they were coming home after a race. Like, used to be talking to some of the lads that owned the pigeons, sort of thing.
Yeah. Did you follow football at all, or you wasn't bothered about the football?
I wasn't bothered much with football then.
How about the pub? Did you go for a pint now and again? Did you go?
Now and again, yes.
Yeah.
Not too often because you couldn't afford it.
Yeah. Did you have any superstitions? I'll tell you one that I heard was if a man or men were walking, seeing a woman on their way to work, they would turn around and go home. I don't know if you've heard that one. Was there any you had, or?
Yes, there was one occasion. I was going to work one morning when I worked in the brickyard at the time, and I had to walk down an entryway, and I'd heard the day before that there was an old lady, her husband kept he was a cobbler, and he had a little shop at the bottom of the entry, and as I was walking down, looking through the back window this was it, I seen this white form standing on the table, and I took it to be her spirit. That's what I thought. And believe me, I ran. And I had to pass the cemetery yard. And of course the wind was facing, and I had to slap it against the railings. And that made it worse. Oh, I ran and ran. That was very comical, that. Another thing that happened to me, I was on holiday in London. This was just after my wife died, and I was walking the open market in Waltham, and somehow or other I had a feeling that somebody was taking my wallet out of my pocket. It was only a feeling, and yet I had to turn towards me left, and this fellow was passing, and I grabbed hold of his hand. I said, "Give my wallet back." "I haven't got your wallet." I said, "Give me my wallet back, or I shall bang you one." And then next thing, a lady at the back, "Oh, mister, he's dropped it on the floor." So I had a feeling then my wife's spirit or something that, you know, informing me about it.
Yeah.
That's the feeling I had at the time.
Yeah. Did you ever go on holiday while you were working in the pit, or?
Yes. I got married in 1944.
Yeah.
And she was an Essex girl, and we were married for 16.5 years. But to go on holiday, we had to have loans. And she used to get a loan and one thing or another, and then, but it turned out, well, you had to pay the loan first before, not the loan, what's the one called before?
The interest, yeah.
And it's only once that I drew one out, but I found out for getting the £300, I had to pay £440 back, £450 back. So I said, never no more. But
and where did you go?
Always to her parents.
Always to her parents.
Always to her parents.
Now, I know it's early yet, but Christmas time, was that special at your grandmother's house, or?
Well, this is when I was a child. It was at my grandmother's because it was only us two at the time. And my Christmas tree was 2 hoops out of an apple barrel with a bit of paper wrapped around. And I remembered at one occasion a fella to give me an old accordion for a Christmas present. But that, there was a hole in that and it wouldn't work properly. Oh.
So did you have any children? Well, obviously you had children, yeah. But did you find it expensive bringing them up?
Very expensive, very expensive.
Yeah.
I remember once my two eldest, the eldest boy and the eldest girl, they had nothing to go on their feet to go to school sort of thing. So I approached the Rose Parish Council.
Yeah.
And I hated that man ever since. He lived in the bunkie there, and I had to go to him begging him. And he gave me a voucher. It ended up 2 pairs of pumps. And this was in the winter months, 2 pairs of pumps to take 2 children to school.
People really don't realise how hard it was. Did you get any help off neighbours, or were they in the same position as you?
No help from nothing. No help from nothing.
Was that because they wouldn't, or they were in the same position as you, sort of thing?
Oh no, they were in a better position than me.
Yeah, but
I remember once when I went to work in the Hubert, my grandmother went begging to Tom Ellis, well, the old man I should say, went to ask him if his son had got any old boots that they didn't want. And well, he did give me an old pair, but he might have thrown them in the bin as but it was something to warm my feet anyway.
But, well, I don't want to end the interview on an unhappy note, but I'm sure that we brought back a lot of happy memories as well as some of the sadder ones.
Yes.
And it's been really nice interviewing you, Hubert. And we hope to see you next year, and we'll carry this on a little bit further, perhaps.
I mean, look when I was born. Look at the date.
1923, so yeah, absolutely.
A couple of weeks ago he was 90.
90, yeah.
I'm still quite strong.
Well, you're looking well.
Well, it's having a good wife to look after me in the beginning, and having a good family to keep me going afterwards.
That's what it's about. That's what it's about, Hubert.
Yep.
So again, thank you very, very much.
You're
really
welcome.
Enjoyed that.
You're welcome.